The power of believing. Hi, it's Dr. Ruth the Pain Doc, founder of Chronic Pain Rescue, a telehealth practice dedicated to helping those suffering from chronic pain to live pain-free or at least significantly pain-less lives using both holistic and integrative approaches. So the topic today, the power of believing, is really dear to my heart. I think what you believe about your illness or about anything in life is so vital. I had to order, because this is a book I started to read many, many years ago. I never did finish it, but I had to reorder it because I don't know where my old copy is. It's by Dr. Bernie Siegel, who was a oncologist and a surgeon at Yale University. The name of the book is Love, Medicine, and Miracles. Just want to read a bit of a passage to illustrate what our topic is about today. Mr. Wright, a client of psychologist Bruno Klopfer in 1957, had far advanced lymphosarcoma. All known treatments had become ineffective. Tumors the size of oranges littered his neck, armpits, groin, chest, and abdomen. His spleen and liver were enormously enlarged. The thoracic lymph duct was swollen closed, and 1 to 2 quarts of milky liquid had to be drained from his chest each day. He had to have oxygen to breathe, and his only medicine now was a sedative to help him on his way. Despite his state, Mr. Wright still had hope. He'd heard of a new drug called crebiozen, which was to be evaluated at the clinic where he lay. He didn't qualify for the program because the experimenters wanted subjects with a life expectancy of at least 3 and preferably 6 months. Wright begged so hard, however, that Klopfer decided to give him 1 injection on Friday, thinking he would be dead by Monday, and the crebiozen would be given to someone else. Klopfer was in for a surprise. I had left him febrile, gasping for air, completely bedridden. Now here he was, walking around the ward, chatting happily with the nurses and spreading his message of good cheer to any who would listen. Immediately I hastened to see the others. No change for the worse was noted. Only in Mr. Wright was there brilliant improvement. The tumor masses had melted like snowballs on a hot stove, and in only these few days they were half their original size. This is, of course, far more rapid regression than most radiosensitive tumors would display under heavy X-ray given every day. And we already knew his tumors were no longer sensitive to radiation. Also, he had had no other treatment outside of the single useless, quote, shot. This phenomenon demanded an explanation, but not only that, it also almost insisted that we open our minds to learn rather than try to explain. So the injections were given 3 times weekly as planned, much to the joy of the patient. Within 10 days, he was able to be discharged from his, quote, deathbed, practically all signs of his disease having vanished in this short time. Incredible as it sounds, this, quote, terminal patient, gasping his last breath through an oxygen mask, was now not only breathing normally and fully active, he took off in his own plane and flew at 12,000 feet with no discomfort. Within 2 months, conflicting reports began to appear in the news, all of the testing clinics reporting no results. This disturbed Mr. Wright considerably. He was logical and scientific in his thinking, and he began to lose faith in his last hope. After 2 months of practically perfect health, he relapsed to his original state and became very gloomy and miserable. But Klopfer saw an opportunity to explore what was really going on, to find out, as he put it, how quacks achieve some of their well-documented cures. Remember, all healing is scientific. He told Wright that crebiozen really was as promising as it had seemed, but that the early shipments had deteriorated rapidly in the bottles. He told of a new super-refined double-strength product due to arrive tomorrow. The news came as a great revelation to him, and Mr. Wright, ill as he was, became his optimistic self again, eager to start over. By delaying a couple of days before the shipment arrived, his anticipation of salvation had reached a tremendous pitch. When I announced that the new series of injections were about to begin, he was almost ecstatic and his faith was very strong. With much fanfare and putting on quite an act, I administered the first injection of the double-potent, fresh preparation consisting of fresh water and nothing more. The results of this experiment were quite unbelievable to us at the time, although we must have had some suspicion of the remotely possible outcome to have even attempted it at all. Recovery from the second near-terminal state was even more dramatic than the first. Tumor masses melted, chest fluid vanished, he became ambulatory, and even went back to flying again. At this time, he was certainly the picture of health. The water injections were continued, since they worked such wonders. He then remained symptom-free for over 2 months. At this time, the final AMA announcement appeared in the press. Nationwide tests showed crebiosen to be a worthless drug in treatment of cancer. Within a few days of this report, Mr. Wright was readmitted to the hospital in extremis. His faith was now gone, his last hope vanished, and he succumbed in less than 2 days. As sad as that story is, I just want to look at the power of the human mind. There's another story here in Love, Medicine, and Miracles. It's about an African delegate who was written of in a book by the Assistant Secretary General of the United Nations. This African delegate had been seen by a New York doctor and diagnosed with cancer and told that he would die within a year. The delegate told Muller, this person who wrote this book, and his other friends that he was going home to die, but would ask his relatives to notify them of the funeral so they could attend. 18 months went by. Having no word, Muller, presuming the delegate dead, called his home village to learn the details. He was pleasantly surprised to hear the man himself, sounding quite robust. Soon after his return home, the delegate explained the local witch doctor had come to him and said, "You look depressed." When he learned why, he told the sick man to come to his hut the next day. The witch doctor began therapy with a simple symbolic gesture. From a large cauldron, he dipped a small cup of liquid and said, "This cup represents the part of your brain you are using. The cauldron, the rest. I will teach you to use the rest." Today, the man is alive and well. And it is said that we use only 10% of our brain's capacity. So let us then, as the witch doctor taught, use the other 90%. Science teaches that we must see in order to believe, but we must also believe in order to see. We must be receptive to possibilities that science has not yet grasped, or we will miss them. It's absurd not to use treatments that work just because we don't yet understand them. And we do try to stick with evidence-based treatments, things that have been scientifically tested. But still, many things that have been around for centuries would not still be being used if there was not anything to them. So what is my reason for talking about the power of believing? What are you believing about your pain? Do you believe that nothing will help? If you want to change that, you've got to change what you believe. Certainly, maybe nothing has helped just yet, but how about I haven't yet found what works? There's still something out there that will work for my pain. I'm going to beat this. I'm going to overcome this. What you believe is intricate, is vitally important to whether you get well or not. And I want to see you get well. I hope you want to get well too. You don't have to live with chronic pain. It doesn't have to be like this always. There are solutions. There are solutions, and everyone is different. No two people are necessarily alike. Not necessarily the same things help everybody, but there, I believe, is something to help everybody. If you're interested in working with me as a pain coach, seeing what's missing in your particular regimen, what could be helpful, I am here for you. Please reach out. You can find me on social media. You can visit www.chronicpainrescue.com to set up an appointment. We're soon starting a group program, which I believe will be very, very beneficial. It's not just going to be meeting with me, but having the benefit of a group that all understand each other, going through the same things, but working towards the same goals. And that is to be well, to live your fullest life and shake off that pain that it becomes a thing of the past. And I will be having movement sessions, talking about nutrition, talking about how to get a good night's sleep. It's going to be really great. So until next time, peace and blessings.